Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of 13 Rings Podcast. I'm your host, Lucas, with my co hosts, Earl, Maurice, and Mal. Guys, we're in the middle of training camps now. We've had some time to digest the initial couple days, and we're going to be talking about it, right? So, we're going to get into it. It's my turn to go first. So, we're going to go with Commanders here. And I'm sure if you guys have been following, you guys have been hearing the noise coming out of Commanders, the biggest noise coming out of Commanders training camp, which is, of course, Sam Howell has really been impressive early on, having command of the offense and players really buying into it, coaches buying into it. So let me ask you this, guys, based off of what we're seeing in training camp, granted it hasn't been a game, but based off of what we're hearing and seeing in training camp, can Sam Howell be that guy?
He can be.
I don't see why not.
I mean, yeah, why not? He's going to be given every opportunity. So as of right now, it's QB1. So the ball's on his court, on the field in this case.
Yeah. No, I think he has a possibility. And I mean, if he can't, we still got Jacoby Brissett, who's a solid backup. But I think Sam Howell. I mean, look, he had a rough season at his senior year at North Carolina. But I mean, I know Earl follows North Carolina, and he can tell you that he lost a lot of his weapons his senior year. So I think
He
look,
did. They just kind of reloaded for the most part. But by the time he was in his last year, he was already ready for the draft.
Yeah, he should have won his junior year, to be honest. But kind of glad he didn't, because now he came to us. That being said, with Sam Howell looking impressive in training camp with all these nice throws, do you think that Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson will have breakout career years? Granted, Dotson's only in his second year, but do you guys think they'll have breakout seasons?
McLaurin, yes. I need to see more from Dotson, but McLaurin he's a top 10 receiver in the league right now. So yeah, I mean, once again, why not? I mean, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to say I completely agree with you, Maurice. McLaurin, absolutely. Dotson, I also need to see a little bit more, but I am impressed with him. I think it's definitely a possibility, especially with more competent quarterback play for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I believe McLaurin can get 1,000 yards. Dotson, I think he'll come to his own in his second year. It just depends on the scheme that they have for him. Depending if McLaurin can get some double coverage, it'll probably open up something for Dotson. I'm banking on him probably around 600, 700 yards this season.
I think that's fair. I think McLaurin, I think he has a chance if Sam Howell can really be that guy. Because, I mean, I said last podcast, McLaurin's been putting up top 10 numbers with like second-rate quarterbacks. And if, Howell can really be that guy, I think he can be a top 5. I think it's possible. Dotson, he's going to have an increase of production. I think he'll be the number 2 guy before all is said and done before the end of the season. I think it's more. I agree with Earl. I think between 600 and 800 yards is probably conceivable. I don't think that we're going to have 2 1,000-yard receivers, but still, that's solid overall. The next point in training camp I want to talk about here is Chase Young. Guys, he looks like he's back. He's healthy. He's moving great. He has the right mentality. So I guess my question for you is the guy that won Rookie of the Year at one point, Defensive Rookie of the Year, is he going to have a bounce back season this year?
He has to.
Yeah, I was just going to say he has to.
Yeah, sure. If he doesn't, he's pretty much gone after this season.
Yeah. I think so. I think he will. I think he will. Maurice, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a proven year for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make a lot of money if he produces on the field. So, not good news for the rest of us, but he's in line to either have a all-pro type season or, the injuries might catch up to him again. I hope it doesn't, but yeah, it's very I could see a very promising season for Chase Young.
I think he has. Go ahead, Earl.
I was just gonna say, I agree with everything you said, Maurice, and I wish him nothing but the best. Injuries suck, and I really want him to have a bounce back season because he's a great player. I'm thinking he can get about I don't know. He can get double digits in sacks and be disruptive. I think he'll earn himself a contract.
Yeah, look, I think about our front defensive line, which we'll talk about more later. You have all first round picks: Montrez Sweat, Dayron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and now Chase Young as the front four defensive line. You can't double team Chase Young because who are you gonna they all need double teams really. So like I think he's gonna have a breakout season. And if assuming that he does, or if he doesn't, regardless, do you think he stays in Washington after this season?
If his production warrants him getting a contract, he's going to be there. I don't know. I don't know how your salary cap is right now, but I don't know. I would have to look into your salary cap to answer that question fully. But right now, like I said, if his production is there, he's going to get paid.
Agreed.
Yeah, I also agree with what Maurice said there.
I don't think he's going to get traded. I think he's going to stay. And I think the more likely option is that he's going to get franchise tagged this summer, and they're going to until they can figure out a long-term deal. I think they'll figure out both for Sweat and for Chase Young. I think they're both worth investing long-term on. So we'll see there. Now going to some. So go ahead, Maurice.
I want to ask you, what year is Sweat in?
I think they're both. I think Sweat and Earl's better with draft stuff than I am. I think Sweat is a year ahead of Chase Young, but Chase Young's fifth-year option was declined, so that's why they're both going into free agency right now, right, Earl?
Yeah.
Did I get that?
Yep. Because I think Sweat was first, and then Chase Young got drafted during the COVID year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's right.
Well,
So
I think their priority would be Sweat over Young. Am I right?
Yep.
I think so too, but I think they're going to be able. I think they'll franchise. I think they'll have a deal for Sweat before then, and then they'll franchise Young.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows? But just switching over to some off the field stuff now. I don't know if you guys heard Jamin Davis. He was a first round pick. I think was it 2021 Earl or 2022?
Last year.
Last year. Okay, so yeah, 2022. He's a linebacker for us. I think he's entering his third season. I want to say he's been okay. He's been a starter level, but nothing spectacular. He came out of Kentucky, but he has a reckless driving charge, and the judge rejected a deal. So now there is a possibility for jail time. What should the Commanders do in this situation, guys?
Next man up.
Tough. Yeah, I think that it's kind of funny. Well, not funny, but it's wild too. Like, Jordan Addison's going through the same thing right now. I think it's really just a tricky situation to decide what to do, but I'm with Earl, next man up.
Go ahead, Maurice.
It's a tricky situation, but it was like he's going to have to do some time for a league or team suspension. As far as I know about that is this is not the first time he's been caught speeding.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time. It was reported that he went as high as 114 miles per hour, which is wow. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's his second charge, right?
Yeah, from what I saw on ESPN, he also had another one. He went like 84 miles per hour. And this is coming off of Henry Ruggs, who was a little different.
Yeah.
That was a DUI.
And Henry Ruggs did kill somebody though. That's also,
yep, that did happen.
Yeah. I forget to mention that part of me. Yeah. So it's still. I mean, you're still putting the lives of yourself and other people in danger, and it has to be some type of repercussions for that.
Do you guys think that they should cut ties with him? Like with Ruggs, or like when we had problems with Darius Geis a few years back, legal problems. I think that was domestic violence. and they cut ties with him. What do you guys think that that's a realistic option for the Commanders?
Well, I mean, like it's actually weird because like I've been kind of going through this with the Yankees right now with like Domingo Herman and all his problems that he has going on. And honestly, I do think that the organization should cut ties with anybody who gets into trouble like that. They represent the franchise. And there's plenty of guys who are equally as talented or working just as hard who deserve that opportunity. I really think so I do think they should cut ties with them. But that's just me.
Yeah, I agree as well. It's kind of removing the distraction of that, and with that, it gives the linebackers Washington have a chance to work towards that spot. But definitely removing Jamin Davis is definitely something that might be required because you got to get rid of the distraction of that.
Was he supposed not that it matters, but was he supposed to be a starter for?
He's a starter, but he's not like he's not like a Pro Bowler or anything like that. Honestly, he's kind of been disappointing because he's good against the run, but his pass coverage kind of sucks, to be honest. So honestly, I was thinking that he might be best served coming off the coming in as like backup.
Well, just my opinion, I think he'll see some games for suspension. In the case of Ruggs, I don't think Ruggs will ever play football again.
Oh no, he's in jail. He's not coming.
He's not
that's for sure.
Yeah, but in Davis' case, I think he's gonna get some time suspended, maybe half a season, maybe more. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen league-wise with suspension, but if I'm the Commanders, a first-round pick, he hasn't lived up to standards. He's had some off-the-court issues. It's obviously not the same legal precedence because Dwayne Haskins didn't get into that much legal trouble, but he had off-the-court field issues too that I think led to the Commanders cutting ties with him, and he was first-round quarterback. So I think he should probably go. And the fact is that he hasn't performed well enough as a first-round pick to really warrant the Commanders really thinking about keeping him. So I think he should go. Second to last thing here, guys, with the Commanders, and then we'll go on. So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention since new ownership has come in, but there have been hints and inklings of potential name change. Any change won't happen until next year, but Ron Rivera and Magic, other people associated with ownership have hinted that the Redskins might be an option to come back. How do you guys feel about that? Should they do it? And is it the right thing to do?
I think they should do it. It's a toss-up between if it's right to do, but it seems like all the Washington fans really want the Redskins name back because there's so much tradition in that. Some people thought having it was just definitely affecting other things, but yeah, it seems like everybody really wants to have the Redskins trademark back because some people aren't sold on Commanders, and when some people thought football team was good, it was bland to them. So now I think it's good that they could get the Redskins name back. I heard that they had a petition signed. They're trying to reach a certain mark.
Yeah, they've all. If they haven't reached it, they're almost there to that petition. And I haven't signed it yet, but I don't know. I don't know if I am. That's why I'm asking the question.
It's your desire for it, Lucas. If you want to sign it, you can go ahead and sign it. It's basically Washington history in that regard with their championships and stuff like that. It just depends on how everyone feels on it. It seems like people really want to have the name back.
Yeah, I honestly would have no problem with them going back to the Redskins. I still call them the Redskins sometimes, out of just habit. So like Commanders has always been a little different to me, but is it in terms of if it's the right thing to do? Kind of like Earl said, like it really depends on what everyone feels about it. And if the fan base really wants it back, I think that's the most important thing because right now Washington is rebuilding their whole brand. And to get the fans' input and what they want done would be like a big step in the right direction. So I think that all depends on what you guys as a fan base really want.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. It comes down to what the new ownership, because when you always have a new ownership, they want to put their stamp on the franchise in some way. Name change, jersey, whatever. Um, but ultimately it would have to be what the majority of the public would want. I don't know what the petition, the goal, the number for the petition is, but I don't know. I
I think it's
understand.
like 34,000 signatures, Maurice.
And
So
what's the goal?
I'm not sure, but I know they had 34,000 signed or something like that.
I think the mark is probably around 50.
Sounds about right.
Okay. All right. I mean,
So
yeah, it
go
comes
ahead.
down to what the fans want. I mean, as an Eagles fan, I'm just looking from afar, and um, they're burgundy and gold. I mean, what else can I say?
Yeah, look, as a Commanders fan for a very long time, I was against the name change. You can ask Earl. Earl's known me since like 2011. Went to college together, everything. And back when like 2013, 14, when RG3 and then that whole entire South Park episode came out, shout out to South Park there. Regarding the name change, that was a funny episode. I'm sorry.
Fine.
It's by the time, so let's talk about why they changed the name when they did. It happened during 2020 during the pandemic, right after the Floyd incident happened, right? It happened around then. Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Yeah. So they didn't change it out of the outcry from the Native American community. They didn't do it for that. It happened because something happened in the African American community. And so that's a weird situation of why you changed it then. Because if they would have, changed it at any other point, because they Native American groups and people supporting Native American groups since like at least the 80s that I can think of, probably earlier than that, but like since the 80s have been protesting the name, and like the team has ignored it. But the interesting thing is you haven't heard about any groups, saying that they don't want the Redskins to come back. My mother herself, she we're not Native American, but she was very much involved in the Native American, community, especially when I was growing up, and she was always against the name, and I didn't understand it at the time, and now I kind of do, because like if a name offends just like a couple people, a group of people, like even if it's meant to honor and it offends, like is it really honoring then? I don't know. And would I like it to come back? Sure. I mean, I've always known them as the Redskins. That's just something I know. But is it the right thing to do in today's, socially enlightened society? I don't think it is. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't happen, and it still might happen. I mean, I don't know. I guess the biggest thing is, will the NFL let that happen with trying to be more socially conscious?
That's a real question.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if the NFL will let it happen, or if any, government might step in because they like to step in on the NFL stuff. They might not let it happen. I don't know. I think, would it be cool if it came back? Sure, as long as it doesn't offend like a lot of people. But at the same time, I just don't think that's going to happen. And that's why I've been pushing with Earl for a while. And, he'll disagree with me here. But I think Red Wolves would be a really good, alternative name besides Commanders. Because you still have the red, theme going in the name. And wolves, Red Wolves are an actual wolf species that's indigenous to the area there. So I think that would be cool. And, Washington Wolves, Washington Red Wolves, there's a lot of iteration that you can do there. So would I would I be mad if Redskins came back? Absolutely not. I don't think it's feasible, and I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do, though. You know what I mean? It could happen, and I'm not going to complain, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do or if it will happen.
Actually, just scrolled upon the petition, and 37,164 people signed it. The goal is 50,000.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
I think simply from a business standpoint, they just changed their name 3 years ago. Would another name change be feasible?
I think it's because we have new ownership. It's allowed within a 5-year period.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, if it wasn't new ownership, we wouldn't be able to change the name for 5 years. But because it's new ownership, we can do that earlier. And it might not happen this year, it might not happen next year, it might take a couple years. But because I heard it could be anywhere up to like 3 years before they change the name. But I think they probably will change the name, and that's why I stopped buying any more Commanders gear, because I think they're going to try to erase anything that they had of
Commanders.
Of Snyder in the organization. So I think that's gone. I think they're going to move from FedEx Field eventually. It's before this thing. I thought it was either going to be DC or Virginia, but because Josh Harris is a Maryland guy, I could totally see them staying in Maryland. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
With the name change, it's going to come down to what type of feedback they get from all sides, all people involved, not just fans. Under the petition helps, gives people a voice in some way, but just having the opinions of everybody, including Native Americans, everybody involved, and go from there.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like the Native American community is split on this, because some tribes love it, but then some tribes don't. And here's the other thing: the NFL still has the Kansas City Chiefs, and baseball still have the Braves. Baseball did get rid of the Indians, but they still kept the Braves. So granted that Indian logo was racist. There is no way getting right. That was a caricature right there. But I don't think the Redskins logo was a caricature. But I don't know. Maybe they go back to the spear logo that they had in the 70s.
Yeah, it was in like 70s.
Or like the R with the little feather at the end. I like that one too.
Yeah, that was very similar to the Florida State
Seminoles. Yep.
Yeah, Florida State, they still got theirs. So I don't know. We'll see. Last thing before we move on to Mal is there are some other training camp stories and standouts. I'm just going to go through real quick, guys. I'm going to say this right now. Manuel Forbes is going to be that guy. He might be top 5 in interceptions this year in the NFL.
I've been watching his tape.
He looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks good. I'll say that.
His ball hawking skills are great. My question is he going to be able to tackle if he doesn't get the ball? That's my biggest question. But I guess we'll have to wait and see on that.
Turnovers give momentum to the offense.
Absolutely, and it gives defense more rest. Besides that, Wilson and the running backs have been looking great. Gibson has been becoming more of a third down back, which I'm okay with. He's playing a little bit more wide receiver, and Wilson, man, he's getting more involved in the passing game, which is one of the things I really was hoping to see. So yeah, no, it's all good. I like it. So Mal, it's your turn. Talk Giants to us.
All right. Well, so I did actually go to camp on Sunday. Amazing experience. So much fun.
Yes, for those that don't know, check out her Twitter and our Twitter pages, because they both have pictures of her at camp, and what she saw there is fantastic. Sorry, Mal.
No, it's all right. Yeah, it was so much fun. Sorry, Earl, go ahead.
I was saying I saw the post. That was really cool.
Oh, yeah, it was a really good time. That was the first time I ever did camp, so it was pretty cool. But all right, so the main thing that I actually wanted to mention first, and we actually went over it last week, through a whole debate on it, but Saquon Barkley's back on a new one.
So hang on. Saquon Barkley's back. So what I said about Daniel Jones not having as good of a season, I said that on the precipice of believing that Saquon's not going to be fully invested, but I think he is now. So I don't think Daniel Jones will have quite as good of a season, but I don't think he'll have a bad season now.
Okay, I'll take that. That's a good step in the right direction.
It's a compromise. It's not a step. It's
Yes, it is a compromise. I'll take a compromise. But I want to ask you guys who, and I think I kind of know the answer, but who do you think won the deal, Saquon or the Giants?
Oh, the Giants easily. They only got him for 1 year, and it was only with incentives. If he reaches the incentives, which playoff success is getting to the playoffs is the main part of it, is only worth $1 million more than the franchise tag.
Exactly.
And they didn't get a no tag clause in the pot, in the contract, so they can tag him again for a second year in the row next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the Giants will run this. I mean, he basically signed for the franchise tag anyway, so
yeah.
I mean, so it's a win for them. Kind of a win for Saquon. I mean, same thing like Chase Young. It's a proven year. If you can keep that production from last season, he'll go into free agency. I think he can get franchise tagged again.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, so they could go do this all again next year, but I doubt that happens. Either he'll get paid off of his production, or he'll take less money next year.
Yeah, the Giants won this this time around. I agree with you, Maurice. Saquon, he's definitely got to play up to the contract and more so he can secure that bag. The only thing is, my advice to the Giants, I would not tag him again, because depending on the money issue, I would go ahead and sign him to a contract. But definitely seeing what he has this coming season, he definitely has got a lot to prove, because I think he's more than 11 mil. To be honest,
I think he's at least 20 mil a year. To be honest,
I just want him. I just need him to stay healthy and use his abilities, because this guy's got incredible talent, and he definitely has got to put that on display.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think he's like 20 mil a year, and I if I was the Giants, I would have given him a 3-year deal.
Yes.
I think that's what he's worth, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, 20 million would make him the highest paid running back in the NFL right now.
And he has an argument to be.
I mean, that's 100% fair. Which leads me into, and you guys kind of answered the next question of if it would hurt Barkley long term. But I think in the conclusion of that is that it really depends on him. Whether he produces or not kind of decides his fate going into 2024. And do you guys think that this impacts the running back market at all, him signing this 1-year deal?
Yeah, but not in a good way. I think if he wanted to make a statement, well, the thing is like, even if he tried to make a statement, it wasn't going to impact it. I think if the running backs, they need to, like, if they want to get paid more, they need to renegotiate in collective bargaining. Like, screw Jim Irsay and what he said. And by the way, screw Jim Irsay in general, because what he's doing to Jonathan Taylor is wrong.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of it.
Did you guys hear about that? Earl, you hear about that, Maurice?
Oh, yeah, I definitely heard about it. Yeah, it's not right.
So for those that don't know, basically, reporters came up to Jim Irsay after he had like an hour-long meeting in his like limo with Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor, led the league in rushing 2 years ago, and asked for a trade. He basically said, "No, we're not trading you, and we're not going to give you an extension either." Like, very nonchalantly, in a disrespectful way, to the reporters, while like in his golf cart being like a chauvinistic owner. I don't know how to really describe it. You guys can do a better job than me, I'm sure.
Well, Jonathan Taylor requested a trade, so I don't know if that's 100% true or not. But I doubt that he gets traded. I'll say that. But it's kind of been an attack on running backs this offseason, so we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off but yeah, no, it's not helped the running back market at all now.
No. Yeah, I agree. I also would agree that the Giants won in this case. They got Barkley back into camp, and as we were talking about last week, they had to do everything they could to get him to show up, and they did. And he was the one who kind of had to make a compromise there. But we also had a massive extension that was also big news, and that's Andrew Thomas, our left tackle, which I am very happy about, by the way. But this,
Isn't it the most for left tackle in NFL history?
I believe so, yes. It was $117.5 million for 5 years.
Good
So yeah, so he did make a good amount of money, and he's only 24, and he's one of the best left tackles in the league. So I think it was definitely worth it. The Giants have had a really hard time with building their offensive line, so this was great news. To know that we kind of found someone that's going to stick for a bit. But a big topic of conversation was with how much money he was getting paid. It was kind of being said that it was disrespectful to Saquon Barkley and that it would affect the dynamic between the Giants and Saquon. Do you think that Thomas's deal affected any of that?
No, I don't think
Uh,
so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it all depends on like how the market, how the positions are played out. Left tackle and is one of the most important positions in the league. So of course Andrew Thomas was going to make a little bit more money there. Do you guys think it was the right deal for the Giants? What do you guys think of Andrew Thomas as a player?
Honestly, I don't know the Giants well enough to know if this is a good deal for them. I mean, if he's as good as he says he is, I mean, look, they have a really good running attack, so clearly he's good at his job. Is he worth the max? I don't know, but you know what? Good for him for getting his money. I don't know if this was a good deal for the Giants, though.
I think it helps with solidifying the offensive line. That's one thing that the Giants really needed to try to build upon, especially in this regime with Dable. And in order to protect Daniel Jones and to be able to create gap for Barkley to run through, you definitely got to try to secure and solidify your O line. And Thomas was one of the first.
Good tackles is really hard to come by, and if
True.
you have them, you got to pay them.
Yep.
No, 100%. I'm with you guys. I'm definitely happy that we have Thomas locked down. He's hands down one of the best players on the Giants currently. I think Saquon and Dexter Lawrence are right there with him, but he's definitely one of the best. So I'm glad that we locked him down. But I do want to talk about some of our training camp standouts because we did have quite a few that I witnessed personally. I did see that Jason Pinnock one-hand interception. That was awesome. And he's been having a pretty good camp so far. So it's good because we're a little thin there at the safety position. So we're requiring a lot of people to step up there behind Xavier McKinney. And another two camp standouts that we have are third round wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. He is quick.
I saw that. I saw that catch that he had. Guy's good.
He's got some good hands. So I'm definitely excited to see what he does moving forward. And then our third is our 6th round corner, Trey Hawkins. He's been impressing in camp. He actually got some first team reps. And as you guys know, our cornerback situation hasn't been the best over the past couple of years. So we need to start developing somebody good there to stand beside Adoree Jackson. I don't know if he's going to be the guy because we did draft Deontay Banks in the 1st round, but Hawkins has been standing out. So we'll kind of see where that goes from there.
All right, Earl, you're up next with your Cowboys. I know we got a lot to talk about there.
All right, cool. Here we go. First, I want to start out with Trayvon Diggs and his contract extension. I really love it. He actually took a solid deal for the years that he wanted, and it was definitely a football decision because he's a great corner. And I believe he earned his money in that regard, especially for the 11 interceptions he had back in the 2021 season. And that definitely relieves one contract where Stephen Jones, sometimes I call him Baby Nuts, but he actually did solid with this contract. And I know that there's more.
Hang on, Earl. Why do you call him Baby Nuts?
Hey, we call him Baby Nuts. I'm just leaving it at that.
I don't understand. Like a baby's. You know what? I'm gonna overthink this. Never mind. Just keep on going.
All right, Steve Jones.
Oh gosh. Okay. Anyway.
All right, Stephen Jones. He's been kind of up and down. He's been kind of cheap with the contracts, but he did a really good job with this contract with Trayvon Diggs. And I know we got some more upcoming contracts coming up in which the whole situation with Zach Martin, I'm not going to go too much into that. But in regards to them overpaying Diggs on his contract extension, I would say no. I think it's a fair deal. It puts him right in the line of the top 5 corners in their contracts. I'm going to shift over to the Zach Martin situation. He's still holding out. He's losing $50,000 a day, not showing up to training camp. And most likely, I'm to the point now, if he doesn't show up, just continue to get your young guys rolling at right guard till something figures out. I really can't make the judgment to see if we really need him until preseason start. And their first preseason game, I think, is on August 12th. So I'll see from that. But I do have a question for you all. How does this Zach Martin contract impact Dak Prescott and his extension?
I don't think it does at all.
Yeah, I think, like Dak's on he has 2 more years after this, but he can extend now, right? Or is he on the last year?
If he reconstructs his contract and signs a new extension, it will open up money. But in that line of where Stephen Jones has those contracts, Zach Martin is jumping the line in that. And that's what's hurting because he basically signed the contract he did back in 2018, making him one of the highest paid, actually the highest paid right guard, in which the money situation, he's trying to get one more payday. And I don't think the Joneses are going to be caving in that regard, especially with who they have in line to pay before Zach Martin.
Yeah, and Jerry did say that he wasn't really going to go over the line that he kind of established there for him. He was like, he's already been paid, so I don't know, like there's other players that we have to pay before him.
Yep.
So Zach Martin, I feel like, is more of a personal decision. I don't think it's gonna. So I guess I should say that I think it'll impact Zach Martin a little bit more based on what he's asking for. I don't foresee Dak doing anything that's going to give any problems to the Cowboys organization in terms of getting him help and paying the guys that need to be paid. Dak doesn't seem to be that kind of guy. And Dak's been paid $40 million a year for. When did he sign that contract, Earl?
He
2
signed
years ago.
2 years ago? Yeah. So, I mean, he might make a little more because, I mean, Daniel Jones, jumped to 40 million, and I could foresee Jerry paying Dak a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to impact Dak in that way. I think it'll impact Zach Martin only because of the way of what he's asking for and what Jerry's line is.
Yeah, if you had to pick between the two of them, I think Dak is going to get an extension or reconstruct his contract before Zach Martin gets paid anything more. It might be a standoff there. I don't know. But he's getting paid pretty well so far. So I don't know. We just got to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's probably gonna look. I think that getting Diggs done was important. He's, like you said, Earl, top 5 corner in the league. So I think it's tricky because we'll talk about it more later. But I honestly think this is a make or break season for Dak. So getting his extension done this year, I don't think is a super high priority because they still have 1 more year after that, right, Earl?
He has this season and then next season.
So yeah, they have a whole nother year. So I don't think they're in a rush to give Dak an extension, which could make things, which makes things with Martin even weirder because Martin's a top offensive lineman in the league too. So are you going to pay him the way that you paid Diggs? That I think it does make an impact. I think if Zach Martin's in his feelings, he'll probably feel even more salty that Diggs got paid before him.
But at the same time, he knew that Diggs was up on a contract here, same as CeeDee Lamb.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying, I'm saying from his perspective.
Mike up too.
Yeah.
All right, so that goes to actually kind of leads to my next question, in which Dak Prescott. I know that this past season, Dak Prescott had the most interceptions he had since being a Cowboy, in which this year he's looking to bounce back from that. Question I have for y'all is, will Dak Prescott bounce back compared to last season?
I think he has a chance to, though it is interesting. Stephen A. Smith brought up two really interesting facts on First Take, and I know how much you love hearing Stephen A. Smith talk about your Cowboys, Earl, but I'm going to bring him up anyway.
Honestly, I haven't heard Steven in about 2 months, so.
The first stat is that in the first couple seasons of his career, Dak led the NFL in like game-winning drives, but he hasn't done that lately. The other thing is that Dak Prescott is the first NFL quarterback to lead the league in interceptions, playing less than missing 5 or more games. So that's a big problem. But on the same note, you have a new offensive coordinator. The emphasis is the run, and not to jump ahead here, but I think that will help a little bit with the turnovers. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has to do as much, especially now with another really good wide receiver.
I think you can go ahead, Maurice.
Yeah, to jump on what Lucas was saying, this is a make or break season for Dak for his career. I think
For
Dak
his career.
Yeah,
I think he'll still be a starter even if he doesn't work out in Dallas.
I don't mean he's gonna not have a job after this season. I'm saying this is a make or break season as far as his career goes, as we see it. As I think Dak has always had the reputation of not getting the job done in the big games when it matters, not being that what would you say, the Showtime type player. When the lights are bright, does Dak show up? That's always been in question. For him to get another big time contract after this season, I think Dak really needs to have a top 5. I wouldn't say top 5. I would
Top
say
10. Top 10.
Top 7 quarterback performance this season.
7.
The interception. Top 7. I think he could, if everything goes correctly for the Dallas Cowboys, their offense. Dak has the ability to be a top 7 quarterback.
Well, I guess
now,
that's possible.
I
had him ranked
that's the
10th.
question.
I had him ranked 9th in my quarterback rankings, so not impossible. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he has Cooks, CD. We'll see what the offensive line, but it's all there for Dak to be successful this season. It's going to come down to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they also have Turpin, who's been looking good in training camp, right, Earl?
Yep, Kevontae Turpin. I'm gonna go ahead and say this about Dak Prescott. This season, I believe he's gonna have between close to a top season as a quarterback into a top 5. The reason for it, Mike McCarthy is calling the plays this time, and so far from what I've seen from training camp with him, he's been working with him nonstop during the offseason and with simplifying things, getting Dak into his dink and dunk phase, like his rookie year and his second year. And with these receivers he has the opportunity to light it up. And honestly, I believe he will bounce back from that. And most of those interceptions he had, they hit the receivers in the hands, tipped out. Some of them were forceful throws, but I think with him having a good recovery from his broken thumb, he's going to have a bounce back season.
Earl, can I ask you about the little problem that, well, it might not even be a problem, but a little bit of trash talk between Trayvon and Dak at camp the other day? What do you think about that?
Hey, it's competitors.
Yeah, I feel you.
I know. Okay, I have one more question before I get to the training camp stuff, but glad you brought that up, Mal. Question is, do you think Dak will elevate his game with the new play caller, Mike McCarthy?
Yes, absolutely.
I think he'll play better. I don't know if he'll elevate it, but I think he'll play better. When I think of elevate, I think of like going to the next tier quarterback. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think he'll play better.
Yeah, I agree with Lucas on that. I think he'll definitely play better.
Okay. With that, I think with his simplifying things for him, he's gonna be is it's gonna mature his skill set at QB, especially with having Brandon Cooks there as well as CD. Because honestly, CD Lamb really hasn't had Dak Prescott for a full year. Um, Either Dak hasn't he's been injured, but hopefully this time he'll be there for a full season in which we'll see more of the untapped potential in CD and the other receivers. And the next thing I have is that how training camp's going. Training camp, I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from training camp. Um, it's a lot of competitiveness on the offensive side and the defensive side. Um, Micah is a problem for the offense. It's to the point now he's just disrupting everything, and I love it.
Micah's a problem for everyone,
Yeah,
at
but
least for me.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's an elite guy, to be honest. He's going to be one of the top 3 defensive players in the NFL for a long time.
I'm curious to see what he does on the line if he plays more end. I need to see that in action, but as of right now, he's one of the best in the league for sure.
yeah. He in the offseason he really took time to update and get his craft sharpened. Like he was sharpening that iron, and he was learning with Andrew Whitworth, working with him during the off season as well as building a little more muscle on his body. And from what I've seen so far in training camp, is paying off. A couple of standouts I saw from training camp, from what I saw, was from the receiving corps. Being able to, I'm just gonna say a keyword: speed. Um, Jalen Tolbert going in his second year. Brian Schottenheimer has simplified a lot for him, and Jalen Tolbert is doing a great job with just they simplify so much for the receivers that they're moving at incredible speed. Brandon Cooks, CD Lamb, Kavontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert. I think those are and Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is moving a lot better. His ACL feels like he's just moving more fluidly now. And I think with the top 6 receivers, I think for Dallas, they have CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Michael Gallup, Kavontae Turpin, and then another standout, their last pick, Jalen Brooks, receiver out of South Carolina. He didn't have much shown on tape, but this guy has been incredible the last 2 days in pads, and he hasn't dropped a pass in these 2 days of training camp.
All right, on that note, Maurice, get to talk about the Eagles now.
Yeah, it's been a very quiet training camp so far for the Eagles. A couple battles, but what was noteworthy this weekend, I guess it leaked. I guess it was so important and popular that it had to leak early. But the Kelly Green jerseys from the 80s and 90s returned, and the Eagles are going to be wearing them at least 2 games this upcoming season as their alternates with the helmet. Um, it's been a lot of talk about the Eagles, Kelly Green being one of the more popular throwback uniforms that's been debuted this off season. What would you guys rate this? Do you guys think that this is one of the better throwbacks? And what would you rate it from 1 to 10?
I think it's a solid throwback. I don't know if I would. I honestly need to go look back and review like some of the older jerseys to see if it's one of the best. But on aesthetic alone, I give it like a solid 7.5, 8. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're kind of fresh. I think that the only time you guys wear them is against the Bills and the Dolphins. You guys should have wore them on Christmas. That would have been so freaking cool. But I would
Yeah.
probably give them about an 8. I do like them a lot.
I wish we wore them during a divisional game.
Yeah, at least one divisional game. At least one.
Yeah.
I actually think that might be possible this coming season, and I think it's going to be against Dallas. I would rate their uniforms around an 8 or a 9. That Kelly green jersey for the Eagles, I hear so many people, Eagle fans, talking about it like they really like that. They like that even more than their current jersey. I think that's one of their better throwback uniforms. Maurice, you probably remember these jerseys. Do you remember those powder blue and yellow jerseys?
Oh yeah, they were hideous.
Yeah, they were horrible, dismal. They're a negative 10. But overall, I'm glad that the Eagles were able to bring these uniforms back because it's definitely something through their tradition, and glad that they are able to wear them.
Yeah, I give it a 10. I mean, I think it's the more popular jersey of all of the Eagles jerseys in their franchise's history. Eagles fans have been asking for their jersey for years, and it has something to do with it had something to do with the helmets. They couldn't wear a secondary helmet, and then they got the secondary helmets, the black helmets. So this year they debuted the Kelly green with the helmets. I like I said, I give it a 10. I mean, this is it's very popular. I think it's already sold out in a lot of places. I think it's going to be the number one selling jersey, at least a Jalen Hurts jersey. Going to be the number one selling jersey in the league.
It already is.
Oh, it already is.
Yeah, currently it already is. And then
Wow.
him and then Sauce Gardner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's because the Jets have a New Jersey as well. So the new word, the throwback jerseys are very popular altogether.
I kind of like the Jets New Jersey too. I'm not gonna lie.
A lot of the throwbacks are good. The Oilers throwback jersey is really good. That's one of my favorites, and the Seahawks.
Whenever I think of the Oilers, I think of Oliver Luck.
I think of Earl Campbell.
Yep.
Well, I'm a West Virginia fan, so my dad came in at the tail end of Oliver, like the beginning of Oliver Luck's quarterback career there. But
Yeah.
The Houston Oilers throwbacks, I think of Warren Moon.
Now, do you guys think the Eagles should wear these jerseys permanently, or you think the Eagles are just more synonymous with the midnight green? He did win a Super Bowl with the midnight greens.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, I do like the Kelly green a lot, but no, the midnight green should stay. I like the midnight green a lot too. I also like your black uniforms.
The black ones are nice.
Yeah, the black ones are clean. But no, I like the idea of, having a few Kelly green games. It's nice, but no, you guys got to stick with the midnight green.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. This is so hard. I think you guys are gonna have to stick with the midnight green, but I would like to see Kelly green more than just like 2 games a season, though.
I think that's an NFL rule more than anything else.
I mean, they could bend the rules a little bit with the throwback uniform, especially if it's like really popular and they get a good rating on them, and which I think is okay. They could add them as a addition to the uniforms for the seasons. Like the midnight green is cool. That's the traditional base. The black, when y'all wear the all black, that's really cool, and especially with the black helmets too. Yeah, I think if they add that as like a addition to the uniform combination, that'd be great.
I wonder why the Eagles went with green as the other color with blue, because like the Eagles aren't green, so I'm always been wondering like why go with green as the second, along with white. It never made sense to me growing up as a kid.
Well, you mean like the actual eagle?
Yeah, like an actual Eagles net for green. So how did they come up with green as the secondary color?
Hey, yeah, that's actually a good question, Lucas. I actually thought about that too because most eagles, I know at least a bald eagle, is white and brown, like the body of it was brown.
Yeah. And like there's golden eagles, but they're like brownish too. So like
I couldn't imagine a brown eagle.
yeah, no, a brown uniform would be disgusting.
That
Yeah. Sorry, Cleveland. But
Yeah.
yeah. But let's switch the topic a little bit. We talked about Dak and how Dak could be a top 5, 7, 10 quarterback. What do you guys rank Jalen Hurts among NFC quarterbacks in the conference?
Well, let me go back to my old handy dandy one. You guys go ahead and start first.
Your controversial rank?
Yes, my controversial rankings. I will go to them every single time I get a chance.
Dak. Oh my God. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC currently. I don't know if anybody can really kind of figure out an argument to debate that. That's really just where I stand. Where
Earl?
Hurts in the NFC.
Earl? What do you say, Earl?
Ooh, that's the real one. I want to know what Earl says.
I'm not gonna say he's the best in the NFC.
Who's better than him, Earl?
Dak Prescott, you already know.
Ah.
Daniel
Jones
is better too.
Tell us why.
Oh, say why?
Yeah, tell us why. If you believe that Dak Prescott's better than Jalen Hurts, who just got to the Super Bowl in his third season, tell us why, Earl.
Okay, I can tell you. Jalen Hurts, he's a ground and pound quarterback. Dak Prescott, best of both worlds. He can go out there and give you close to 90 yards rushing, or would you like him to pass for a certain amount of passing yards? He can do that. He has that dimension to him that he can pass the ball and run it when needed to. Now, both quarterbacks are great in their own mark. Jalen Hurts is good in his right and his ground and pound. Dak Prescott can do either. But overall, with what Dak Prescott has done, especially with his yardage, and so even if he didn't get to the conference championship or the Super Bowl, his credentials and his ability with not the talent that Jalen Hurts has at receiver, Dak Prescott was still able to rack up incredible yards in that regard. This is the best season Jalen Hurts has had. We just got to see if he can rebound and replicate it.
So Earl, I'm going to disagree with you here. Look, in my rankings, Maurice, you say controversial. I say, if anything, it favors you because I got Jalen Hurts, top NFC quarterback at number 5. And Earl, for perspective, he's not just a ground and pound guy. Yes, he can run. He rushed for over 700 and he rushed for 760 yards with 13 rushing touchdowns. Ain't no denying that. But he also passed for 3,701 yards on 66.5% completion percentage, had 22 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. Versus, now I do have Dak, the next best thing at number 9 as an NFC quarterback. And here's what I got. In 12 games last season, he completed 66% of his passes for 2,800 yards, 2,806 yards, 23 touchdowns, but 15 interceptions, Earl. Okay. And I get the whole entire hurt finger thing. That's fine, but I mean, look, the numbers don't lie. I think it's Hurts, man. I think it's Hurts. It's not even. I don't think it's that close.
How many games did Jalen Hurts play last season?
Maurice,
he missed 3, so 14. Excuse me.
And what was his passing yardage from that, Lucas?
He had 30. I think 37 or 36. So let's double check this. He had 37,000 yards versus 3,700 yards versus 2,800 yards, and Dak only played 2 less games. Correct?
Okay.
So there's no way that Dak could have made up the yardage in passing yards.
And his touchdown percentage and interception percentage.
So Dak had 1 more touchdown, but had about 9 more interceptions.
No, I'm asking, What was
the percentage? I don't have those stats.
his touchdown rate? From the looks of it, his numbers match Dak's rookie season. And how long has Jalen Hurts been in the league?
It's his third year.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many years has Dak been in the league again?
He's been in the league since 16.
So about 8.
8. And those 8 years, has he gotten his team to a conference championship game? I'm sorry I have to ask that question, Lucas, because at the end of the day, you can throw out as many numbers as you can. It comes down to production.
Hey, I got Hurts higher. Like I said, he's the 5th highest quarterback in my rankings. So like I have
quarterback ranking that like the Cowboys, Eagles back and forth that I've been waiting for a while. So I'm just sitting back and enjoying this.
I mean, you can throw out all the numbers you want. It comes down to production. Is Jalen Hurts more safe, with air quotes? Is he more a safe quarterback? Yes, because he has a better offense. But Dak has weapons too. But it's the scheme.
3 years. He's mainly been a starter. I can give him the credit he had this past season. Last season, what did he do?
Who, Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
Took a team to the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
He's talking about 2 years ago.
He was second in line to MVP.
The following season, I'm not going to let you slam Dak on the accomplishments he had.
I'm not.
He is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. I was giving Jalen Hurts his due in that regard. The situation is everything is built on what the Eagles did this past season. Yes, he showed that. Yes, he got his bag. But at the same time, it's putting him over Dak Prescott, who's got more yardage than he does, more touchdowns in that regard, in a system. Dak Prescott was in a bad system last season. He's been in a bad system the last 3 to 4 seasons. That changes. Dak Prescott can actually get back to what he was when he first started and be better. But
when you have the talent, you supersede the system. You can have terrible weapons
at that time last season.
You can have terrible weapons and still be productive, like a Geno Smith. It's not always about what's around you, though. I mean, you're using that as an excuse.
Say that the same way you're telling me if Jalen Hurts didn't have Devontae Smith or AJ Brown, he would still thrive.
I do think he will. Will I think he'd be the second in line of MVP? No. But I think he'll be a successful quarterback. I think we've seen from Jalen Hurts that he's a winner. And like I said, it goes back to production. Jalen Hurts gets into a Super Bowl. That's really all that matters. It doesn't matter what numbers you throw out there. Dak has had some good teams.
He got to the Super Bowl.
Players.
Did he win the Super Bowl?
No.
To be fair, that's against Patrick Mahomes, who's going to probably challenge Brady for the GOAT conversation. Maurice, to your Geno Smith point here, I got Geno 4th among NFC quarterbacks behind Justin Fields and Dak. But yeah, no, I look. You can go by team success or the eye test. For me, the eye test, Earl, you're my guy. You're like a brother to me. But I look at the eye test, and I think that Hurts is just slightly better because, and here's part of the reason. Dak cannot be a dual threat quarterback anymore. The injuries has taken away his running ability to the extent that it was early on in his career. Hurts still has that. And not only that, you could make an argument that he's even a better dual threat quarterback. He's not, but you can make the argument that he's better than Lamar. So that's just my thoughts there. But I think or Josh Allen, but he's right up there as like a runner at the position. And granted, he has really good help at the wide receiver part, but and some of the best wide receiver core, if not the best in the NFL. And not to say that Dak is bad, Earl. Like I said, I think Dak is the second best quarterback in the NFC. I just think that the gap right now, and until I think postseason is part of the thing. Yes, Dak we know can be a good great regular season quarterback, but we haven't seen it in the postseason yet. And part of that is injuries, part of that is coaching, part of that is roster. But like at the end of the day, I get that Dak's handicapped with what he has to work with, but I just feel like it's still. I mean, until like unless Dak like comes out this season, puts like Dak has never been in the MVP conversation, but Hurts has. So I think there's that too. So I think Hurts is the best NFC quarterback, but Dak could change the conversation this year. I'm just saying going into this season, I think Hurts is that guy.
And let me just be clear. I'm not putting down Dak. Over the first 3 episodes of this podcast, I've given Dak a lot of credit, and I've given him a lot of props for being the quarterback that he is. He's a really good quarterback. I want to make that clear. I do think Jalen Hurts is by far the best quarterback in the conference right now. And I understand you're a Cowboys fan, so you're gonna hype up Dak, and that's perfectly fine. I'm cool with that. Like I had a little rant last week, and I posted it on the social media about Jalen Hurts not getting the respect. And a lot of that comes down to the weapons he has around him, and people tend to use that as an excuse as why Jalen Hurts really isn't that good. He has so much options, and that inflates his talent. I don't think so. I think it comes down to production. At the end of the day, it's all about production. What can he do as a starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? And if that's getting the team somehow, some way to a championship, a Super Bowl, or a championship game, then so be it. That makes him good.
And I'm not taking away what he has done. I give him all the credit in the world, what he was able to accomplish last season. But after one season, you're putting him at the top, in which he's got another more seasons to prove that he's that dude.
Okay. Hang on, Maurice. Hang on.
You'll tie this up. Yeah, you tie it up.
Hang on, Maurice. I got you here. Okay. The thing that I think why people are ready to put Jalen Hurts up on that pedestal is during his first 2 seasons, especially season 2, he was showing flashes of elite quarterback play. He just needed better weapons, and he got that. And now he's an elite quarterback. That's why I think people are ready to put him on that pedestal, Earl, is because he was already showing flashes before he got the weapons. Now that he has the weapons, we can see that he's an elite quarterback. That's why I think. I don't disagree with you that I would like to see more consistency from him from just one season. I'm not denying that, but I'm also okay putting him up there because how many third-year quarterbacks take their team to the Super Bowl? I mean, maybe wasn't it? I mean, Mahomes, Russell, Wilson, right? I can't think of too many, right? Joe Burrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, we're talking about really elite guys. Like, we don't see scrubs take their teams to the Super Bowl, like in their 3rd season. Garoppolo didn't do it in his 3rd season. Granted, he's like middle of the pack quarterback, but at the same time, he didn't put up the impressive numbers. He was carried by that team. Hurts is putting up these numbers. That's why I think people are ready to put him as the number 1 quarterback in the NFC. Now, like I said, I think we all would like to see more than just one season, but I think it's okay to put him up there at the current moment. He might fall. I mean, Maurice, I'm not trying to, make you worry, but it could have just been an aberration. And then next season, he doesn't play nearly as well. That could happen too. That the NFL is constant place of change. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Lucas, you lead me into my next question, because I think the production of Jalen Hurts has a lot to do with what this Eagles team does this upcoming season. So, do you guys think the Eagles will avoid a Super Bowl hangover?
No, I don't. I think I don't, and not to say that they won't make the playoffs, but I think they probably go I don't think they have a tougher schedule. The guy, playing in this Super Bowl is a lot. They did. Granted, they restocked his talent, but they did lose veterans on the defense. Jalen Hurts is going to be game planned better for this year too. So I think that they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna be like a non-playoff team, but I think they 10 and 7 whatever I think that's a total possibility.
They're gonna make the playoffs.
They'll make the playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I just don't think they'll get very far.
Now,
I mean, yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't know about. I guess it's just too early to tell with the other teams in the NFC and how they're going to be injury wise. Off season's so hard because everybody looks good until like they play an actual game. But I think the Eagles will be back in the playoffs. I don't think you guys will make the Super Bowl again. But I think you'll be back in the playoffs.
I think it's very. I'll say this: it's very hard for a team to go back to the Super Bowl back-to-back years. It's very hard unless you're like Tom Brady or Mahomes. Mm-hmm. But I think the Eagles. It's going to be a little harder because of the schedule. People know what they're playing against now this year. There's no surprises. And from a talent-wise, we lost some guys, but we gained some young talent. Based off what the conference is right now, and I don't know if I said this on here before, it's really two teams only two teams in the NFC that really concern me as the Eagles fan, and that's the 49ers and the Cowboys. Now,
don't sleep on Washington and the Giants, man.
Yeah. Don't forget about us, man. I mean, you said it yourself that we were the only legit loss that you guys had. So,
yeah. I understand more why you would sleep on the Giants because you kind of like kicked our teeth in 3 times last year. Like, new season, hoping for the best, at least for me.
Well, I'll say when it comes to like the Super Bowl contenders, I think if Purdy is healthy and the defense stays the defense that the 49ers had last season, they're going to be contenders. And the Cowboys is always going to be there. Not to go back to that conversation, we'll see when prime time happens. We'll see what the Cowboys can do. But I think those are the 3 teams in the conference right now. And if the Eagles can be at that level where they're at least 12 and 5, and they can maintain the home field advantage throughout the playoffs, I think the Eagles can get there. But I will admit it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. What do you guys think?
I agree with that, Maurice, and vice versa. When you're in the challenge Dallas got, Eagles and Niners. Every season is different, and all our teams in this division got the ability to change the narrative. So
one team in the NFC besides like Eagles, Cowboys that are like true Super Bowl contenders that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. It's not the 49ers. Everybody knows they're coming. I got a sneaky feeling about the Lions. Is that weird? Like, I got a sneaky feeling that they're going to be really good. I don't think Jared Goff had like a one-hit wonder season, and I think the defense got better. They got better weapons on the perimeter.
My boyfriend says the same thing.
Your boyfriend is a Ravens fan, so we can't take him seriously.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah, Mal, I don't know why you're dating a Ravens fan. That just blows my mind.
Sometimes life just happens in mysterious ways.
I guess. I guess.
I can't really explain it. He also wasn't really a football fan before I met him, and then I met him, and he started watching football, and he picked the freaking Ravens. Oh
Does he like the color purple?
No, he's got friends that have been Ravens fans for years. So
okay, that makes sense.
He's been brainwashed. It's fine. Not mad about it or anything.
No, I think you are.
He represent the Giants.
Yeah. There's going to be any team that steps up this year in the conference. Yeah, I could definitely see the Lions. I mean, just last year they played pretty good the first couple games, and then they kind of tailed off. And Dan Campbell coaches. He's a really good coach. He coaches a lot of toughness. So I could definitely see the Lions taking that next step, especially in that division.
Yeah, because I mean, like, look, Kirk Cousins, he can win you regular season games. I just don't think it's going to happen for them in the playoffs. As a guy that dealt with, do you like that? You like that? Yeah, I don't like that, Kurt. I don't. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over to our social media question of the week. For those that don't follow us on Twitter, make sure you follow us at 13_Rings Podcast. And we do have our social media. As we also are on Facebook too. Our social media poll question of the week is, which team has the best defensive line? I should have specified saying going into this season. And yet again, Mal, you got to talk to your Giant friends because they are just so biased. They got the Giants with the best defensive line at 53%.
No, listen, I will say this is probably going to be one of our best questions of, I would say, probably in a few weeks, because the defensive lines in the NFC East, everyone's got some dogs on their defensive lines.
That's true. That's true.
And all 4 defensive lines are pretty good, but continue. I'll let you continue.
Okay, so Giants got 53%, Eagles got 26%, Cowboys got 13%. My Commanders are not receiving any love on Twitter, got 8%.
You serious?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, which is like yeah, because, okay, for those that don't follow us on Facebook, follow us at 13 Rings Podcast. And the poll question there had quite a different result. Yet again, I don't know why, I don't know how, but Commanders fans seem to love us on Facebook. Because when we do these poll questions, I put these into all these different Facebook groups: Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Commanders. But it seems the Commanders fans are the ones that do most of the voting. And, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I'm not going to ignore the bias there. So with that being said, so here's the results. The Commanders got 90% of the votes. 90. Cowboys got 2% of the votes. I'm pretty sure Earl voted for both of those 2%.
I don't know about Facebook.
The Eagles got 4% of the votes. And the Giants got 2% of the votes.
Jeez.
Well, we know who's, like you said, that Facebook is Commanders country.
I guess, man. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but obviously Cowboy and Eagles fans need to be a little bit more active on our social medias. But
I'll say this. And you're gonna ask us what do we think about that?
Yep.
I would say the top 2 are just based off talent. I would say the Giants and Commanders.
Okay.
Just based off the talent alone. The Commanders have Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. That's a really good 4.
Yes, that's really good 4.
Yeah, that's a really good 4.
Like, you don't usually have, like, we don't blitz a lot because we don't need to blitz a lot. Because usually those guys are enough.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You always want that in a defensive line.
Yeah.
And the Giants have Ashawn Robinson, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau. That's really good too.
And Kayvon's was only a rookie last year, so I'm looking for that improvement this year.
Oh, by the way, guys, we have our first Browns follower on Twitter. We just got a Browns follower on Twitter. That's pretty cool.
We're expanding. I love to see it.
Yeah, welcome. Who knows? We might have a AFC East. Is it the AFC East? Yeah, I guess so. No. Yeah, AFC North.
They're with the Ravens.
Yeah, you're right. AFC North podcast next. Who knows? Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, both of them have really talented front lines, defensive lines. I can't really argue the Eagles here. I'm not even going to try to be a homer here and say the Eagles have the best line. I think we have good depth. We have a lot of unproven young players, and Jalen Carter, who just drafted, Jordan Davis going in his second year. We have a couple of older guys, Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, but they're both, at the tail end of their careers.
I was
So
about to say, what year was Fletcher Cox drafted? Because I feel like I was in high school when he got drafted.
I want to say 2012.
Okay, so I was in college. Okay. Dang, you've been there for a while.
I was going to say the biggest thing that when I was thinking about the rankings for the defensive lines was your loss of Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, I think that was
that kind of like really bumped it down for me because he was a really big staple in your line.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have good depth, but top end talent, we will see. We will see how Jalen Carter adapts to the NFL. And like I said, Jordan Davis, their entire defense is predicated on Jordan Davis being effective up the middle. So we will see. But according to the polls, I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have much of a problem as well. With me, I was gonna say Dallas. We're good with the depth, but I think out of the division, I think right now Washington has the best defensive line.
I'll take it. Look, talent-wise, we got it there. We just need to be healthy. And I just need Jack Del Rio to do a little bit more, pressure on the quarterback, especially with, we don't need the blitz, but it'd be nice to blitz a little bit more because we don't get as many sacks as we should. So maybe a couple more blitz packages, just saying.
Yeah, and that's why for my ranking, I was just going to rank the Giants just a little bit over the Commanders and not by much, but only because of a few certain things, and that's because Wink Martindale is a blitz machine and Dexter Lawrence. Those are the only two things.
I mean, Dexter Lawrence might be the best overall player on the defensive line. Okay, let's do this real quick. Who's the best defensive player on the defensive line in the NFC East?
I would say Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence.
Earl?
Micah.
Well, okay, yeah, all right.
Okay, but is Micah really a defensive lineman or is he a lineman?
Yeah, he is. I would probably say Micah. Dexter's close.
They got him as a linebacker and a DN. So
I think Micah's probably the most skilled player, yeah.
And Micah's kind of learning this stuff on the fly, and he's getting better at it.
Yeah, he just needs to get a little bit bigger. If he can thicken up a little bit, I think he'll be okay.
I mean,
just can't lose that speed.
10 pounds of muscle. So
I mean, hopefully that's enough. I mean, we'll see.
And I'll say this: if Thibodeau plays up to his talent level, that only makes Dexter Lawrence even better.
Absolutely, and Thibodeau owns the Commanders, but don't tell Lucas that.
Well, we did get a little bit better on offensive line, but you know what? Hey guys, bounce back player of the year, Chase Young. He could put his name in that if he really focuses in. I think he has a chance to be up there.
He's got the talent for it, for sure.
Yeah. That being said, let's go ahead and wrap this one up because we have been on here for a long time and I still have to edit all this. So on that note, for everybody that listened, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our podcast yet again. We'll be back next week. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, 13-Rings Podcast, and make sure you follow us on Facebook, 13 Rings Podcast. And, obviously we're on Twitter. We're eventually going to expand out to other mediums for podcasts. But in the meantime, make sure you follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. And stay tuned for next time. You guys have a great day. Bye.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye, guys.